Though this is not the end, the conclusion now seems all too real. Hey everybody, welcome to After Action Report, your recap show for all Showdown matches to keep you caught up on all the action. I am your host Megs here for the Call to Action podcast channel, here breaking down the stats and storylines of Friday Night Titans episode 23. And while this was the final full episode of Titans, we still have a lot of things to look forward to. Seeing two Stars competitors compete and a preview of what we might see in a future teams match and a monumental win from a legacy competitor. Without further ado, let's jump right into what we saw in this episode. Chandru comes running in announcing he gets to make his singles debut to the stage crew. He gets to play anyone that he gets to sign a contract. One of the crew members decides to put in her name and quits the crew to Thad's disbelief. Now, I'm sure this is not what Chandru and definitely not Thad was expecting when Chandru came in with this contract, but we do get to see that a crew member will be making her debut as Chandru's first singles opponent. Without further ado, let's jump into our undercard match. Chandru, the chosen Dandapani, against a former crew member, Glory Jean. Coming out of round one, Chandru is up by 4, 11-7, getting a perfect round plus the bonus. In round two, Chandru defers to have Glory spin first, who takes 2000s on her first spin. She comes away with 8 out of 10 points, checking down to multiple choice on 2 questions, but not giving away a steal opportunity. Chandru takes Pixar on his first spin. He comes away with 5 out of 10 points, checking down to multiple choice on 4 questions, misses one of them, and it is stolen for 1 point. This gives Glory a gain of 4 points to now tie the match at 16. In round 3, Glory misses her 2-pointer in Fantasy Sci-Fi. Chandru is able to break the tie by hitting his 2-pointer in Clooney and Pitt. That sends it back over to Glory, who misses her 3-pointer in Matt and Ben, but is able to hit her 5-pointer in Famous Actors and Actresses to force Chandru to have to answer another question. He misses his 3-pointer in Newman and Redford, but then also misses a 5-pointer in Comedy, which gives Glory the win with a final score of 21-18, where Chandru Dandapani answered 16 of 19 questions for 84% accuracy and scored 58% of 31 available points. Glory Jean answered 14 of 19 questions for 74% accuracy and scored 66% of 32 available points. Now, while Chandru was very excited to get that perfect round one, the tables got turned on him when Glory was able to come back from behind and force it to be tied going into that final round. While Chandru only missed 3 questions in this match, it was Glory who hit that one question that she needed, and Chandru couldn't finish strong with some tough final round questions of his own. Now, during this episode, in the live chat as well as over on Twitter, it was announced that we will get to see Glory Jean play again because she'll be teaming up with Sean Wingblade, the former FCL competitor who debuted in IG a couple weeks ago. They will be teaming up to face off against the team we saw form last week, Mark Andraco and Kevin Smets. And that match will air later on this month as one of the single release matches that we will be getting to finish out the remaining matches before we get to Spectacular. And this takes us to the midpoint of the episode, and after the break, we jump into a scene that leads us right into our main event. We see Mr. Irwin preparing. Sam wants to come in and talk, but Irwin is not having it, and a back and forth gets Sam nowhere in getting a reconciliation. So Mr. Irwin is still staying to the story that he feels that Sam did him wrong with the way that he disbanded the Usual Suspects earlier this year, and with Sam then coming in and claiming the belt that Mr. Irwin feels that he deserves. And Sam just wants to have his friend back and now seems to wonder if that will ever happen. Now to our main event, the Inglorious One Sam Levine against Mr. Irwin in a title match. Coming out of round 1, Sam is up by 2, 8-6. Coming into this match, Sam had a 100% accuracy across all matches in this season, not counting free-for-all. But coming into this match, he had 65 straight questions answered correct. Now, he made it to 67 in this match before missing his first question in a 3 or 5 round match this entire season. In round 2, Sam defers to Mr. Irwin, who spins away from Viola Davis and ends up taking Wizarding World. He comes away with 6 out of 10 points, checking down a multiple choice on 2 questions, misses another question, and it is stolen for 2 points by Sam, who takes Musicians in Film on his first spin. He comes away with 8 out of 10 points, checks down to multiple choice on 2 questions, but doesn't give away any steal opportunities. This gives Sam a gain of 4 points to now be up by 6, 18 to 12. In the betting round, Sam spins away from streaming films and ends up taking movie release dates. Both competitors bet 3 points, both get the question correct, so Sam is still up by 6, now 21 to 15. In the speed round, Mr. Irwin hits the first question, Sam hits questions 2, 3, and 4, and Mr. Irwin is able to take the 5th and final question, so Sam earns 3 points in this round, Mr. Irwin comes away with 2 points, and this gives Sam an overall gain of 1 point to now extend his lead to 7, 24 to 17. In the final round, Mr. Irwin hits a 2-pointer in Gene Hackman, a 3-pointer in Scores and Soundtracks, leaving him with a 5-pointer in Harrison Ford, but he misses it. And this gives Sam the win in the title defense via TKO with a final score of 24 to 22, where Sam Levine answered 18 of 20 questions for 90% accuracy and scored 77% of 31 available points. Mr. Irwin answered 15 of 21 questions for 71% accuracy and scored 56% of 39 available points. Now, aside from the impressive question accuracy streak, Sam, with this defense, has become now the second competitor to be able to claim the singles title twice, and in that reign, defend twice. Now, Merle is the other competitor that has done this, though he also has claimed the title a total of 5 times with 6 total defenses. And it's also worth noting that both Sam Levine and Dan Merle have claimed and defended the team's title as well. Dan Merle did it with Founding Fathers, and Sam Levine did it with Above the Line. And to give a little bit of history of the title defenses for these two competitors, Dan Merle claimed the singles title and defended it twice in 2016. Sam did it in 2018. Dan Merle did it again in 2020. And now Sam Levine has done it for a second time here in 2022. The only other person to have claimed and defended the singles title twice was Marisol McKee, who did it last season. Now, Sam not only defended the title twice in this season, both of the matches were decided by knockout, the first one being by KO and this most recent one being by TKO decision. And actually, 3 out of 4 of his defenses have been by knockout decision, with an additional TKO in his first reign back in 2018. And looking back to other competitors that have either claimed or defended the singles title by a knockout decision, Mark Riley was able to defend his title by knockout. Ben Bateman claimed his title by knockout. And then we also saw that Dan Merle was able to defend his title via TKO twice. And Mr. Irwin claimed a title via TKO decision as well. I hope you enjoyed that little history into the singles title. I certainly enjoyed getting to do a deep dive into when the title had been defended multiple times. I didn't realize that there was a 2-year gap between each time up until we got into Marisol McKee, and also that there was a 4-year gap between both Dan Merle and Sam Levine's reigns, and that for the most part, they were not active competitors during their each respective reigns. So I found that very interesting, as well as also getting to take a look at the times that the title was won or defended via a knockout determination. So hopefully you enjoyed that. And as we get going along towards the end of the season and maybe even beyond the end of the Schmodown, I'm going to be doing even more deep dives into certain history of certain aspects of the league and all the stats and fun that come along with that. But we're not done with this episode just yet. There is one more scene to talk about. Jen comes into the studio and discovers a note in her pocket from Flaus, but ultimately decides to crumple it up and takes one final look before walking out and turning off the lights for the final time. What a beautiful way to end this, the finale of Titans, While we do get some standalone episodes before we get to Spectacular, this is officially the end of this era for the show. And this is the end of this week's episode, but don't worry, I'm going to be right back next week covering each and every match that we're going to be getting in the coming weeks. According to the schedule that got released, we're going to be getting 1 to 2 matches every week for the rest of this month, leading up into September, where we'll be getting a ton of exhibition matches. And as we get into these last couple months, I'm going to be sprinkling in some fun facts as we reflect back on the last 9 seasons of this amazing show. If you haven't already, make sure you hit like on this video, you're subscribed to the channel, and leave comments with your thoughts on the episode. The match breakdowns presented here will be posted on Twitter and Facebook. Until next time, for the entire Call to Action podcast crew, I am your host, Megs, and this is After Action Report, signing off.